The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
We don't have a domestic spying program. What we do have are some mechanisms where we can track a phone number or an email address.
Was the president telling the truth? New revelations about the NSA spying scandal show it is more widespread than initially believed. Judge Andrew Napolitano is very worked up about this, and he'll be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham, in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Will past be prologue for Hillary Clinton? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Hillary Clinton has been gone from her perch at the State Department for 6 months now. But with Mrs. Clinton, it's never out of sight, out of mind with diehard Democrats. The new WMUR New Hampshire poll of likely primary voters has the former First Lady beating the rest of the potential 2016 presidential field by a mile. Poor Joe Biden. When the president bid farewell to Mrs. Clinton in late January, it was quite the send-off.
I think Hillary will go down as one of the finest Secretary of States we've had. It has been a great collaboration over the last 4 years. I'm going to miss her. Wish she was sticking around, but she has logged in so many miles I can't begrudge her wanting to take it easy for a little bit. But I want the country to appreciate just what an extraordinary role she's played.
Now, that's all very sweet, but is it true? Forget party politics for a moment. Was Mrs. Clinton, objectively speaking, really a great Secretary of State? It's glaringly apparent that our relationship with Russia is in tatters, which she began by botching the translation of the word reset on a button she handed her Russian counterpart, and that was back in 2009. After giving Russia what it wanted on the Eastern European missile defense shield, Russia repaid us by continuing to help the despotic Syrian regime and cruelly banned American adoptions. As for China, her last visit there was a disaster. She was met with unbridled hostility in Beijing, and the president's recent meetings also produced zip. While China, meanwhile, continues to amass more wealth, more geopolitical influence, and more power. What about the Middle East? Well, despite all the promise of the Clinton magic, the Secretary of State came up empty, initially offending the Israelis with our shabby treatment of Netanyahu, and then not taking any lead role in getting the parties together. What about Iran? Zero progress in halting Iran's nuclear program. How about Egypt? We turned our back on a longtime ally, Hosni Mubarak, and gained a new volatile player, Mohamed Morsi, who lasted all of 12 months before being ousted in a coup that we won't call a coup. What about the Arab Spring? Well, Mrs. Clinton was quick to praise its promise without understanding how the coming volatility would adversely affect religious minorities and neighboring countries like our strong ally Jordan or Saudi Arabia. And last but not least, there was Benghazi. 4 dead Americans on her watch, yet the Secretary of State could not be bothered to be interviewed by the Accountability Review Board. And why was Ambassador Susan Rice sent out to tell that tall tale regarding the non-existent protest of the video? Why didn't Mrs. Clinton herself make all those Sunday show appearances? What difference does it make? All of this, well, should make a huge amount of difference to anyone interested in objectively assessing her tenure as Secretary of State. And that's the memo. Now on to our top story, new revelations in the NSA monitoring scandal. Despite President Obama insisting there is no domestic spying program, the New York Times today reports that U.S. officials have cast a far wider net in intercepting the communications of Americans, more wide than initially believed. Additionally, there are reports that IRS employees were involved in concealing secret evidence obtained by other government agencies during investigations of Americans. With us now to sort through all of this, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Thanks for
I am still
laughing during my
I am still reeling from the lambast of Hillary. It was superb.
Well, I appreciate that. I say it with a heavy heart, Judge. But just quickly on that, I mean, am I being unfair here? I mean, I tried to go through everything. The only thing I left out was maybe the Libya debacle.
No, I think these are all great points which will be used against her, not by a primary opponent, she won't have any, but by whoever the Republican nominee is. Almost makes you wonder if the president was speaking tongue-in-cheek cheek when he praised her tenure. That's how poor, and obviously poor.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should have thrown in getting rid of Gaddafi, but I didn't. Let's move on though to this. Sure. What's going on with the NSA? I know you're all worked up about this. This New York Times piece today was a blockbuster. Although a lot of this information was out there at the end of June, but it was kind of overlooked about the types of information this government has access to under the 2008 FISA amendments. Tell us about it.
When the president goes on a late-night talk show and says we have no domestic spying program, he's being deceptive at worst, deceptive at best, and outright untruthful at worst. It is clear, not only from what Snowden told us, but from the documents that Snowden revealed, and I have seen the ones that he made public, that the president asked the FISA court to authorize massive spying on virtually every American that uses the internet or the telephone. And that spying consisted of capturing the content of communications.
They say it's only content. They always have an explanation. They say it's only content if you have specific selector words that are used that somehow key you to the quote, targets abroad.
Well, they basically say it's only content, but we won't go there unless we think we have to go there. Guess what? They can't go there without a warrant, a search warrant from a judge identifying the person and, quote, particularly describing what is to be searched based on probable cause. And they can't lawfully collect content without a search warrant as well. Remember, they initially said to us, we're just looking at phone bills.
He just said
that on Verizon.
He just said it the other night.
Now we know that in 2.5 years, they have captured almost every phone call, email, and text. That is trillions of pieces of information.
Jay Carney today spoke out about this. Let's hear it.
NSA collects only what it is explicitly authorized to collect. And while NSA analysts examine only a very small percentage of the world's traffic, if communications of U.S. persons are incidentally collected, the agency must follow minimization procedures that are approved by the U.S. Attorney General and designed to protect the privacy of U.S. persons.
Nothing, Laura, nothing is incidentally collected. They know exactly what they're collecting. They want to have everything available at their fingertips. Do they have time to read this? No. Can they read it? Yes. When General Alexander, the head of the NSA, was asked by Congressman Mike Rogers, former FBI agent, General, do you have the ability to collect all this? He said, no, sir, we don't have the authority. He knows they have the ability, and he's conceded they don't have the authority.
Today, an intelligence official said basically that if this data is collected incidentally, still using that incidentally, and incidental content is acquired, it's deleted quickly. The entire process takes a small number of seconds, and the system has no ability to perform retrospective searching. There's no storage of this information. That's what they're saying now. But the narrative keeps shifting on this.
Right. The narrative keeps shifting. There is no storage is defied not only by Snowden, but by 4 other former NSA employees, not employees of vendors, but employees of the NSA who have backed up Snowden. No. Laura, this is the biggest end run around the 4th Amendment in the history of the United States, and it's orchestrated by Barack Obama.
And you think Congress didn't know anything about this? They claimed it was confusing. The briefings were confusing.
I think Congress was misled in those briefings, and Congress is supine. It's afraid to take the president on over national security.
Fascinating, Judge. Thanks so much. And up